Target: Osama bin Laden, the name that would become synonymous with terror and fear across the globe. On September 11, 2001, the world changed forever. The skyline of New York was scarred, and the hearts of millions were shattered. Terrorists attacked the United States in a coordinated and devastating assault. Nearly 3,000 innocent people were killed, leaving behind a nation in mourning and a world in shock. The mastermind behind this horrific act was Osama bin Laden, a name that would forever be etched in infamy. He was the leader of Al-Qaeda, a terrorist group with a global reach and a deadly mission. Bin Laden declared war on America, using his influence to rally extremists to his cause. He vowed to kill Americans everywhere, turning his hatred into a global campaign of terror. The United States responded with fury, mobilizing its military might to bring those responsible to justice. President George W. Bush launched the War on Terror, a campaign that would span continents and years. The goal was clear: to hunt down bin Laden and dismantle Al-Qaeda's network of terror. The CIA was tasked with finding bin Laden, a mission that required patience, precision, and perseverance. It was a difficult and dangerous mission, fraught with challenges and risks at every turn. Bin Laden was a ghost, slipping through the fingers of those who sought him. He hid in the mountains of Afghanistan and Pakistan, using the rugged terrain to his advantage. For years, bin Laden evaded capture, always staying one step ahead of his pursuers. He released videotapes taunting the United States, a constant reminder of his presence and his threat. He continued to inspire his followers to attack the West, spreading his message of hate and violence. The world waited for justice, hoping for the day when bin Laden would be brought to account for his crimes. The families of the 9/11 victims demanded revenge, their grief fueling a relentless pursuit of justice. The hunt for bin Laden became an obsession for American intelligence agencies, a mission that consumed countless resources and lives. Finally, after nearly a decade of searching, a break came, a lead that would change everything. The CIA tracked a courier to a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, a seemingly ordinary house with an extraordinary secret. They suspected bin Laden was hiding there, and the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The stage was set for a daring raid to capture or kill the world's most wanted man, a mission that would go down in history. Finding bin Laden was like searching for a needle in a haystack. The vastness of the task was overwhelming, with countless places to hide and endless leads to follow. He was a master of disguise and deception. Bin Laden could blend into any environment, making it nearly impossible to track him down. He used couriers to send messages. These couriers were his lifeline, ensuring that his communications remained secure and untraceable. He never used phones or the internet. This old-fashioned method of communication kept him off the grid and away from the prying eyes of modern surveillance. The CIA followed every lead. They interrogated prisoners, hoping to extract any piece of information that could bring them closer to their target. They offered rewards for information. These rewards were meant to incentivize anyone with knowledge to come forward, no matter how small the detail. They used drones to spy on suspected terrorist hideouts. These drones provided real-time intelligence and a bird's-eye view of potential locations. The intelligence community developed new technologies to find bin Laden. They analyzed satellite imagery and intercepted communications, leaving no stone unturned. They even collected DNA samples from his family members. This was a meticulous process, aimed at confirming any potential sightings or leads. Slowly but surely, they pieced together clues about his whereabouts. Each piece of evidence brought them one step closer to their goal. The breakthrough came when the CIA identified bin Laden's most trusted courier. This individual unknowingly led them straight to the heart of the operation. They tracked him to a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. The compound was unusual, standing out in a neighborhood of ordinary homes. It had high walls, barbed wire, and no phone lines. The level of security was extraordinary, raising immediate suspicions. The residents burned their trash. Something was suspicious. This unusual behavior was a red flag for the intelligence community. The CIA watched the compound for months. Their patience and persistence were key in gathering crucial information. They used drones to take pictures and videos. These aerial views provided invaluable insights into the daily activities within the compound. They listened in on any electronic communications. Every intercepted signal was analyzed for potential clues. Analysts studied the patterns of life inside the compound. They meticulously documented every movement, every routine. They concluded that a high-value target was hiding inside. The evidence was mounting, and all signs pointed to one person: It had to be bin Laden. The long hunt was nearing its end, and the world was about to witness a historic moment. The compound was located in Abbottabad, a military town in Pakistan. This town, nestled in the hills, is known for its serene environment and strategic military significance. It was just a short distance from the Pakistan Military Academy, one of the most prestigious military institutions in the country. The compound was surrounded by high walls, designed to keep prying eyes out and ensure maximum security. It had barbed wire on top, adding an extra layer of protection. There were few windows, making it difficult to see inside. It was clear that security was a top priority. Surveillance cameras were strategically placed to monitor any movement around the compound. The compound had 3 stories, each level meticulously designed to serve a specific purpose. There was a courtyard in the center, providing a secluded outdoor space for the residents. There were also several outbuildings, which were likely used for storage or additional living quarters. The residents of the compound were very secretive, rarely seen by the neighbors or anyone in the vicinity. They never left the compound, living a life of seclusion and mystery. They burned their trash instead of putting it out for collection, a practice that raised suspicions among those who observed the compound. The CIA used drones to watch the compound 24 hours a day, capturing every detail and movement. They observed the residents' every move, meticulously analyzing the footage for any clues. They noticed a man who never left the compound, a figure who stood out due to his constant presence. He always wore a white robe, a distinctive garment that made him easily recognizable. He walked in circles in the courtyard, a habit that earned him a unique nickname. The CIA nicknamed him the Pacer, a moniker that reflected his repetitive behavior. The CIA believed that the Pacer was Osama bin Laden. They were not sure. They needed more information. The stakes were incredibly high and they couldn't afford to make a mistake. President Barack Obama authorized a daring raid to capture or kill bin Laden, a decision that would go down in history as a pivotal moment in the fight against terrorism. The raid on bin Laden's compound was codenamed Operation Neptune Spear. It would be carried out by SEAL Team 6. They are the most elite Special Forces unit in the US Navy. The SEALs trained for weeks in a replica of the compound. They practiced every detail of the mission. The SEALs knew this was a high-risk mission. Bin Laden was heavily guarded. The compound was located in a densely populated area. A firefight could lead to civilian casualties. The mission had to be executed flawlessly. The SEALs trained for every possible scenario. They practiced storming the compound. They practiced rescuing hostages. They even practiced what to do if bin Laden was wearing a suicide vest. They were prepared for anything. The mission was top secret. Only a handful of people knew about it. President Obama gave the final go-ahead on April 29, 2011. The SEALs boarded stealth helicopters and flew towards Abbottabad. The fate of the world hung in the balance. On May 2, 2011, at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning local time, the SEALs arrived at the compound. The mission was underway. They flew in on stealth helicopters, specially designed to evade radar. The helicopters landed outside the compound walls. The SEALs quickly moved inside. The element of surprise was crucial. The SEALs wanted to catch bin Laden off guard. They hoped to avoid a long and bloody firefight. They had to be fast and precise. One of the helicopters crashed inside the compound. The crash threatened to derail the entire mission. The SEALs remained calm and focused. They secured the crash site and continued with the mission. The SEALs moved quickly through the compound. They killed bin Laden's guards. They cleared each room one by one. They were looking for bin Laden. The SEALs encountered resistance inside the compound. Bin Laden's guards opened fire. The SEALs returned fire, killing the guards. They moved room to room, clearing the compound. They used hand signals and whispers to communicate. They didn't want to alert bin Laden to their presence. The SEALs found women and children inside the compound. They were bin Laden's family members. The SEALs did not harm them. They moved them to a safe location. The SEALs finally reached the 3rd floor. They believed bin Laden was hiding there. They kicked in the door to his bedroom. They found bin Laden standing there. He was unarmed. The SEALs confronted bin Laden in his bedroom. He was standing near the door. One of his wives was standing in front of him. She appeared to be shielding him. The SEALs feared she might be wearing a suicide vest. One of the SEALs fired his weapon. The bullets hit bin Laden in the chest and head. He was killed instantly. The SEALs later said that bin Laden was a threat right up until the end. They believed he was reaching for a weapon. The code word Geronimo was used to inform the White House that bin Laden was dead. The news spread around the world like wildfire. People celebrated in the streets. The long hunt was finally over. The SEALs took bin Laden's body. They left the compound in their remaining helicopter. They flew to a US Navy ship in the Arabian Sea. Bin Laden's body was buried at sea within 24 hours. The raid on bin Laden's compound was a major victory in the War on Terror. It proved that the United States could strike at its enemies anywhere in the world. It was a major intelligence and military success. The raid also had significant political ramifications. It boosted President Obama's popularity. It put Pakistan in an awkward position. Pakistan was supposed to be an ally in the War on Terror, yet bin Laden had been hiding in their country for years. The raid did not end the War on Terror. Al-Qaeda continued to pose a threat. New terrorist groups emerged. The fight against terrorism continued. The raid on bin Laden's compound was a defining moment in the global fight against terrorism. It showed the world that even the most elusive enemies can be brought to justice. Operation Neptune Spear was a risky mission. It paid off in spades. It dealt a major blow to Al-Qaeda. It avenged the victims of 9/11s. It brought a sense of closure to a nation still healing from the wounds of that terrible day. The raid also raised questions about the use of force. Some people questioned whether it was legal to kill bin Laden. Others argued that it was justified. They said he was a dangerous terrorist who deserved to die. The raid on bin Laden's compound will be studied and debated for years to come. It is a reminder of the human cost of terrorism. It is also a testament to the bravery and skill of the men and women who fight to keep us safe. The war on terror continues. The world is still a dangerous place. But on that day in May 2011, justice was served. Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks, was gone.